Hello, is this 20th Century Fox? Yeah, I have a question for you. When are you dickheads gonna get off your lily white ass and release Baby's Day out on 4K? Hello? Hello? I'll try again tomorrow. Oh, I'm running out of time. I gotta watch the movie before the podcast starts. Let's do this!
Any sign of Mike?
Oh, maybe the son of a bitch is dead.
Jesus. What a terrible thing to say.
You assured me everything would go smoothly.
Everything is going smoothly, I assure you. It's Buddy Shots time.
This is Matt Week. This is Buddy Shots 188, and it's also Woo Week. Woo Week! John Woo.
John Woo!
Woo. John Woo. We've got The Robinsons Lost in Space from 2004, an unaired pilot that's only in parts on YouTube. And Once a Thief that was released, but for some reason there's, I guess it's just this, what is the story with this? It's like
It's a Japanese or Chinese import.
Yeah, is there an actual version of it that was released in America, or?
Maybe. I got this probably like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there was any other releases.
It's kind of a movie I'm kind of shocked it doesn't have like another release.
It should be released on Criterion. Perfect reaction.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's on Criterion that I'm like, this is just like a bunch of bullshit. But like, there's also a bunch of stuff on there that totally deserves it.
The in-laws. See our previous episode.
Yeah, so there are like things out there that's like, you know, if it's an Akira Kurosawa film, it's definitely a Criterion apparently. But I don't know why this isn't, you know, like I said, I don't know. Maybe I should have done some research. Either one of us.
We should do a whole podcast on it.
Yeah, we should do a podcast on Once a Thief
right
where we actually look into if there's another fucking... Anyway. So what do you think the poll is for these?
Goose eggs, bro.
For both of them?
Yeah.
Would you... Well, okay. So Once a Thief is 50-50 on Instagram, but 100% no on YouTube. And then on YouTube, Lost in Space, The Robinsons. I think this is bullshit. Yeah, I was like lying. 50-50.
Like,
I think you vote on. I think you vote on these polls honestly, and you don't tell me because some of this it's like
no one has seen this ever besides us.
Well, that's not true. There were views on the fucking video, and they weren't
John
just
Woo
us. Yeah, well, that's true. Maybe he voted. He's like, somebody saw this. But I guess we'll talk about whether or not you know this has merit. The Robinsons Lost in Space. Were they right to not pick this up, or were they wrong? Let's get into it.
Yeah,
right now. This is your weird watches.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna pick John Woo's segment of Beat the Devil, which is that BMW commercials that like we watched the Tony Scott one. Remember?
Oh, okay.
John Woo did one of those. But then I looked at his filmography and I saw this, which I must have been added recently because I've never even seen this before.
Yeah,
and wanted to check it out because I've never seen Lost in Space, the original show. Have you? Mm-hmm. Are you a fan?
Yeah,
it's a beloved show.
It's kind of campy, but yeah. I mean, there's a reason why they've remade it so many times. I mean, they had the Netflix one, they've had the Disney one that's kind of like a mix between. It's not really like Lost in Space. It's kind of based off of the Robinson Crusoe family, which is, I mean, that's kind of the same thing, but it's in space. So if you're speaking the Robinsons, it's like either Lost in Space or it's they're lost on an island. That's kind of we've already covered the Beverly Hills Robinsons or Beverly Hills, what was it, Family or Swiss Family Robinson.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Family Robinson. But I have a funny story, a buddy tale, if you will.
Yeah.
About what you didn't mention, Lost in Space, the movie.
Are you okay?
Starring Matt LeBlanc.
Jesus. I've seen that too.
So have I.
I guess maybe I'm kind of more of a fan than I thought I was, and I think about it. I've seen quite a few of these.
So back when that came out, my dad was a huge Lost in Space fan, like growing up.
Oh, nice.
So when that movie came out, he was so excited that his friend from high school flew in from Arizona
Oh wow!
so they could go watch the movie together.
In the theaters.
You okay, Pep? Did you inhale something up your snout? And it was like they didn't even like take us. It was just like those two.
It was
buddies
it was
were
like
gonna,
a buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna have an outing to see this huge movie of one of their favorite shows. And when they came back, it was like they'd seen a ghost. They were like shocked by how bad it was.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it's that bad, but it was a huge bomb.
I think
It
for
was a huge flop when it
probably
came out.
coming from like being a fan of the original show, and that was kind of like the first time that it was redone in a big way. Like to kind of miss the mark as much as it did to a degree, I think was kind of shocking because the one thing I kind of remember about that was it being kind of like, I mean, Gary Oldman's in it, isn't he? And he plays Miss like Smith or whatever, like because in every portrayal that's pretty much good, there's always like the scientist that's kind of like he's kind of like the foil that you don't know if you can trust him or not, which adds like a cool dynamic to the show or movie. So he was doing his thing, but from what I remember, there was some like acting in it that wasn't the greatest.
And there's that little CGI creature, which I think was like one of the first, if not the first, fully CGI creatures in a movie.
And it
looked
like,
horrible.
Yeah. At least from what I can remember, at least.
I remember watching it like maybe 10 years after it came out, and I was like...
I didn't like
it's
absolutely
not,
hate it.
Yes,
yeah,
it's fine.
I could see
It's
if you were
entertaining.
like a super fan of the original and watching it and being kind of like, what the fuck?
It was like their Phantom Menace moment.
Yeah.
Like, disappointment. But yeah, so...
That's funny, dude. Holy shit. Poor guys.
Yeah. But should we get into the Robinsons?
This version
from
of,
2004.
Lost in Space. This one, yeah. The Robinsons, Lost in Space.
And boy, can you tell it's a 2004 show.
Yeah. Yeah, we got Commander Kelly Grayson from the Orville, Adrianne Palicki is Judy Robinson in this.
Oh, I didn't...
She was
I
like the
didn't put
one
that together.
person I recognized right off the bat.
I didn't recognize her, but after I looked her up, the mom, Jayne Brook,
Yeah,
she's
she's-
Admiral Cornwell in Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
Which she's good in that show.
Yeah.
And this one. So,
Yeah.
like, what'd you think overall?
I thought that it had pieces to be good. It was just, I think
sure.
if it was given more time, it would have, like, possibly been good. Or better, I mean.
I couldn't believe, like, the special effects and the sets and stuff
Yeah.
for, like, something that never was even shown. Like, it must have cost millions.
Yeah, it's probably why it was dumped. They just tax wrote it off because they were like,
It was too expensive
I
to
think-
be sustainable.
I think the last, like, 15 or so minutes kind of are the reason why it probably didn't get picked up. They
I didn't
kinda go
love-
hard weird on it. It was like, what is this?
I didn't love some of the, like, it's basically like a soap opera.
Yeah.
It was like, it seemed like a CW show, which is what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Um,
Which means it could have been super popular. Could have
Yeah.
actually done numbers.
Well, my thought is I enjoyed this show enough that like I would watch more if there were more
Yeah,
episodes.
for sure.
Like it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, I have actually wrote almost more notes about this than I did about the actual other movie.
Yeah, I'm glad we watched it. It was pretty cool.
Let's see if there's anything here. They're like in this version, like John Robinson is like he's like a war hero because like aliens have attacked and like he helped like fend them off in like a war or whatever. At the end, it's pretty evident why they won. The aliens are like complete idiots. They like fucking are foiled. But well, the problem also is like at the end of this, all these scientists become like John Woo like action people, and they're able to pull off straight up bullshit. Like the mom that like does the Matrix and dodges a bullet. That's when I was like, I like action, but this is like, I mean, when aliens are more believable than the fucking shit that's happening right now, I'm like, okay, this is stupid. Like,
Also, like, there's no doubt that John Woo directed this. Like his,
oh my god,
he's like put his Woo touches all over it, and like some not for the better.
yeah. It's like since I think there wasn't as much action for him in this until the very end, like. He puts like slow motion on like way too many things that like make no sense. Like he like I'm surprised there wasn't a freeze frame in it.
Yeah,
Because like there's a part where like the the like son walks away from the dad after having like a heartfelt conversation, and then it goes to slow-mo for no reason, and I'm like,
even like
this
the
is
first
so
time
dumb.
it happened right away, like someone threw a paper airplane. And
Yeah, the paper airplane makes like Judy fall in love with this other kid, Don West, in slow motion, which I was like, I couldn't stop thinking about. There was a wrestling announcer in TNA and WCW called Don West, so I was like,
Dude. I was wondering while I was watching this, I was wondering like, why did John Woo direct this show?
yeah,
So just his little story here. He made Hard Boiled in '92, which I think is his best movie. Then he came to the U.S. and made Hard Target, Broken Arrow, Face Off, Mission Impossible 2, which were huge hits. Then he made Wind Talkers with Nick Cage, which was not a hit, and Paycheck with Ben Affleck, which was a fiasco. And his career was basically done at that point. Like,
Jesus,
it ended quickly.
in America or whatever. Yeah.
So he made this right after Paycheck, and then he went back to Hong Kong. So that's how fast it can end. Because Mission Impossible 2 was like the biggest hit of that whole year.
Legit.
But anyways, I guess it kind of makes sense why he tried his hand at TV at this point.
Dude, the robot in this fucking sucks. It's not even complete. It's like a fucking half complete.
But they would have built it up over time, maybe.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's stupid. Should have just been there from the beginning. All the best versions.
But you love arcs. That robot could have had a great arc.
No, it couldn't have. Definitely couldn't have. My favorite version is the one that was on Netflix.
Oh, yeah?
They did, yeah. It's really good.
Is it more in the style of the original robot?
It's updated for like a modern, like, you know, retelling of it and stuff like that. It's more sleek and stuff like that, and is actually able to like fight and protect and stuff like that. And there's stuff that kind of comes out about like, you know, what it really is and stuff, because it's like a robot, but it's like an alien that they find, so that kind of a thing.
That's cool.
So it actually has an arc and stuff, which is cool. But like the whole show is like that, where it's like, but this kind of starts off weird because they have an extra kid that isn't in the original that gets like taken hostage by fucking aliens. He's about to be like
on the station, but for some reason
he's about to be like fucking get a gang beating, and he's like the ADR by the fucking dad. We have to believe he's alive, and I'm like, dude, he's about to get his ass beat. We have to believe he's alive, and we've also just warped across space to fucking never see him again.
No one saw him again.
I felt like this was really weird though. The dad brings a catcher's mitt to his son, and the kid doesn't even know what it is. And I was like, okay, so how old is John Robinson if he like played baseball when he was a kid, but his son had never heard of it? Like, I was like,
baseball is fading in popularity.
I was like, did like his childhood, like I guess like all that stuff got like the records of baseball got destroyed when the aliens attacked or something like this? I was like, okay, this kind of makes no sense here. Because there's also another part where like the mom talks to her daughter about cowboys, and she's like, what's a cowboy? And I was like, this makes no sense. Like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, it's like they had their kids, like they were in like stasis, and like they came out of stasis 100 years later and then had kids or something. Like it made no sense to me. Even 100 years later, like you would know, like this. Oh my god, I wasn't pissed. I was just kind of like, whose decision was that? You know what I mean? It just was kind of weird.
The script was not a strong piece. Strong point.
There was actually like I think there was like a good exchange between the dad and the son where he was like, essentially the dad comes back from war and doesn't really know his kids because they're fully grown while he was off like protecting like Earth and stuff. And he was like, you know, hey, do you want to talk about it? And the son's, David, what? The test. Did you even study? And he says, get off my back. What? Just leave me alone. I don't get it. All I've ever asked for you is to do your best. That's all. And I was like, this was actually a pretty legit response. And I was like, this was like actually the part where I kind of turned like for the better on this, where I was like, okay, they kind of know what they're doing here. Because like, he's like, no, you just want the best whether I can do it or not. And I was just like, holy shit, that's like an actual realistic, relatable fucking, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Where's this going to go? And then, like, right after that, it was, like, inappropriate use of slow-mo. And I was like, He's like, let me tell you something. You know what's worse than you being gone all the time? You being around, sir. I think it probably would have been best if he would have just left. Like, instead of saying that extra part. I feel like that part was written, like, by, like, I don't know. There's one writer on here, but you get the feeling there's multiple people involved in this. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, I'm sure there were.
You're like, nope, not true. He's like, you ever tried telling your son you love him? And he's like, he knows. And he's just like, I was like, man, this is like so true of so many like father-son relationships, or just like any relationship. You don't tell somebody, and I was just like, I was pretty pissed when he was like about to tell his son he loved him, and then it gets interrupted, and I was like, dude, this is so fucking bullshit.
A TV trope.
Yeah.
Like I thought all the acting was, I mean, it was a little bit bland, but good.
Yeah, I think everybody
definitely
had like a dose of Ritalin before they fucking did this. But it was like also like
pretty darn good for a pilot.
Mm-hmm. I have a note. Dude, fuck this slow-mo shit. I guess I was getting pissed about it for whatever reason.
So should we get to the alien invasion?
Yeah, that's what I'm about to talk about now. Yeah.
I mean, the the CGI space battles and stuff were awesome, I thought. Even though it was hard to see in a crappy
they were
YouTube
okay
version. For TV in 2004.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, like, this is kind of comparable to a lot of the stuff you complain about with other CG to me. Like, it's... You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was good. I think you're right. It's comparable to, like, other shows and stuff like that. I was just kind of like... I think mainly it was just impossible to fucking tell what was going on, like you said. Because it's like... I guess that's not the fault of the show, but it, it just sucks. It's like, okay, well... Apparently the ship they were on got repurposed for Babylon 5 years later, because they were just like, we're not letting this shit go to waste.
Yeah, it looked awesome.
Yeah.
But the aliens were not good.
The heads were fine.
I thought they looked real silly.
Well, the heads looked fine, but the rest of them were like, they didn't have anything else put on them. They were just
also,
they were literally like fucking paintball suits.
They were done dirty by the lighting, like the brightest lit show I've ever seen. Like, how could anything be scary in, like, that light?
Well, the problem is, too, like, the aliens, like, instantly you can tell they're just people in suits because, like, the alien tries to fucking cane chokeslam Judy, then his, like, execution fucking pulls a gun out, and I was like, that's a human fucking hand in, like, a glove. Yeah. And then he gets under sieged, his, like, head gets fucking shocked into a fucking monitor, and I was like, okay, dude, what the fuck are we doing here? Like... Because, like, honestly, like, I would have been fine if the aliens just never showed up.
I couldn't agree more. It was very
Which
silly,
is sad because it's
funny.
like, they go to attack and they're almost like the fucking putties from Power Rangers. They're, like, fucking useless. They're just cannon fodder.
Yeah.
It's like they're just strong enough to kill off, like, the side characters, but, like, not strong enough to kill off a mother holding a baby. I was like... Also, like, this is totally John Woo. What's with the fucking baby holding and shit in these? It's like, it's getting old, man.
As much as I love John Woo, like, I liked seeing his style but it didn't work at all for the show. Like, it didn't work.
It's like, if this is a drama, why the fuck, I mean, I don't understand, like, why is he involved? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I feel like they threw him a bone at the end when he got to, like, direct but the problem is these scientists became like action stars, and it was like Judy ends up doing like a roundhouse kick to one of the aliens. The mom kicks a ottoman, and it trips the fucking alien, and the door crushes him. The only person that it made sense was like the dad, because he's a war hero. He like breaks an alien's leg with his legs, and I was like, that's straight up like out of, like an action film, but like. He's the only one that should have been able to defend these people off. It's like the rest of his family became like Terminators for some reason. Unless they needed to be kidnapped. Then like his son got kidnapped and his other son got kidnapped. It was like... Also, the part where his son gets kidnapped was like straight out of To Catch a Predator. He like grabbed his Will and fucking ran into the fucking mist with him. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like right here, he's like... Yeah. It's like Alien Hunter 255 says.
It's an alien abduction.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like something you would see on sightings. Like, holy fuck. Also, there's this part where, like, John goes to tell, like, Don West to go unlock the door since the computer is, like, it's on auto lock. And it's understood he's going to override it, and then he goes to the computer and he's like, I can't, it's on auto lock. And I was like, what? Like, that's the whole reason why you're over there, right? And then, like, the guy that's, like, his whole life is about flying, like, Don West, couldn't do it, but Judy was able to fucking do it. And I was like, this is, like, gotta give this person something to do syndrome over here.
Yeah.
Also, I was cracking up because he left his son behind with the aliens. He's like, bye. Yeah, this is the part I was cracking up about, where it was just like, they just saw the alien ship blow up a bunch of stuff and all this crap going on, and then ADR, John says, we have to believe David's alive. And I was like, bullshit! Like, that ADR was so crap. It was like, we have to believe he's alive.
It's like the Death Star explodes. It's like, we have to believe Darth Vader's alive.
Yeah, it's like, what? Let's check the damage, but who gives a fuck about my son? I was like, what? Even if it takes the last breath in me, I'll get us home. I was like, nope.
What an ending.
Yeah, I was like, that shit.
And it was permanent.
It was a good way to start it, but I guess it was also a good way to end it.
Yeah.
Because sadly, this was never picked up, but honestly, like, the alien threat was like dog shit.
Yeah,
it
was
like, okay, if this is your threat that attacked Earth, like, you know, where's the conflict?
Token aliens at best. But having said all that, I want more.
I mean, they couldn't fight hand to hand, but they were able to, like none of the ships had weapons on them, I guess, so they were just cannon fodder. So it's like, why would they ever board? Just blow up the fucking ships. I was like, I don't understand this.
We're an advanced technology that can travel faster than light. Let's board this ship and punch some humans.
You know what the thing would actually be, like, what actually makes sense is if, like, you would find out, like, in later seasons or, like, later on in the season that, like, they're actually not aliens. They're humans from the future that need, like, previous genetic material to keep the species going.
Get this man a writing gig.
Because, like,
I like it.
Because they look so similar to humans, they could just be wearing masks or something.
Just humans with, like, ant masks.
Right. Like, essentially, that's their space gear and stuff. It would make so much more sense because it would also solve why it looks like someone in a fucking suit. Because it is someone in a suit. And it would also explain why, like, they're shit at hand-to-hand because they've lost the ability to kind of... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
you just turned into Mike from Red Letter Media.
I just turned... Thanks for shitting on me.
That's a compliment. I love that guy.
No comment. No comment, even though I already said fuck it. I'm like, I'll say my piece and then say no comment.
Dude.
It's like, what?
Power move.
Power move. I'm like, check and mate. It's like, wow. Yeah, I mean, I had a lot more to talk about this than I think I usually do for Weird Watches.
I'm glad, man.
Something to it.
I was fearing for the worst, or like just something that would be totally generic and have nothing to do with John Woo, but it definitely had something to do with John
one
Woo.
of those.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. It did have something to do with John Woo. It's just the parts that were there were not...
The stuff that didn't work.
Weren't needed.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he definitely was involved, so it works for the week.
Yeah. I'll always remember Robinson.
When they got lost in space. Yeah.
West. Don West. Desperado.
Yeah! Can't open a lock? Nope, you don't want nada.
Shall we move on to the main event?
Yeah. What is the main event?
Once a Thief from 1991.
True.
Directed by John Woo. You're like, wait, what?
Who's that?
I'm trying to see what
Who's
order
that dumbass?
he made this in, because he made The Killer.
He shot it backwards to first.
The Killer and Bullet in the Head, which were like pretty heavy melodramas, so he wanted to do something with a lighter comedic touch.
Yeah.
Because he, back when he started his career, was a comedy director. So hence
he went back to his roots, I guess.
Went back to his roots to make a light action comedy.
I think that was a great decision.
I agree.
In my eyes, because that was one thing I didn't like about The Killer.
Yeah, I mean,
Too heavy.
The Killer had some comedic moments in it, but it is a very serious, melodramatic film.
Not a fan of that in my action sometimes.
I love The Killer, but I agree. I mean, I think Once a Thief is more wildly entertaining than The Killer.
Yeah. It's also shockingly nice how like the characters progress and stuff like that, and unlike The Killer where it's like, okay, well,
you don't have two people who've had their eyes shot out, crawling around, screaming, "Help me!"
Yeah, I'm like, this movie sucks. I gotta go fucking kill myself after this. It didn't suck. I liked the movie. It was just
it's a lot.
It's like, okay, you created these legit characters just to pretty much
torture.
Yeah. Shit on
Put
them for
through
no
hell.
reason. It's like, which is like, I think like something most people like that movie. So I don't hate it. I just don't like.
It's not one that I
revere
go back to and watch all the time. Unlike something like this or Hard Boiled.
Yeah, this is like, I was like, this is fucking legit.
Good. I'm glad you liked it. I'm not going to say this is like his best movie by any means, but I think it's good, and then the last 20 minutes are like amazing.
Yeah. There's definitely, I think, some slow parts in it, but
yeah,
I mean, I feel like there was like that in a lot of movies where I'll watch it and be like, It is kind of weird how like, real like actual action doesn't happen until like 40 minutes into this film.
Yeah,
but
I do agree. There's dragging parts, but like
this is more of like an espionage or like a heist. Like this is essentially like a Lupin the Third movie.
That's why I thought it'd be right up your alley.
Which I was like,
thief antics.
Halfway through this, I was getting pissed because like, why the fuck is this existing? But like a live action movie doesn't exist for Lupin the Third. I was like, man, he should have fucking done this instead of fucking around with like the Robinsons or something. Yeah. He should have done Lupin the Third live action.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But I think the star power of Chow Yun-fat
for sure.
is enough to like, entertain.
Chow Yun-fat pretty much, he carries this movie on his back.
Yeah.
I mean, not like no one else was involved, obviously, but like he's like the Jackie Chan in this film where he has like he's almost kind of like, a spry monkey, like, because he played like Sun Wukong and all that and stuff, or maybe that was Jackie Chan that did that. I can't remember. No, he was in that movie. He played another character in that movie. That movie's been made like a million times though, so like The Journey to the West or whatever. But like, he plays that like goofy character and stuff like that. It's sad because I'm pretty sure. Damn it, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was Chow Yun-fat that was in the Dragon Ball live action film, and he played Master Roshi.
I never saw that one.
But that was so misguided because they didn't even have him like wear like a beard or be bald or anything. He was just Chow Yun-fat walked around to the fucking set and was like, "Hey guys," it's like what? But anyway, because Chow Yun-fat has so much charisma, it's kind of sad to waste him in a movie. But he's not wasted in this film.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I used to watch, I was obsessed with John Woo movies, and I watched them all the time, but it's like, I stopped doing that for a while, so going back, it's like, man, I haven't watched a Chow Yun-fat movie, and I forget, what an amazing star he is. He's great. Love him. But I like the trio in this are all really good.
I haven't seen him in a film in a while, so it was cool to see him in a movie again. Yeah. It's reminds me of, him, Sonny Chiba, Jackie Chan, and more recently, and by recently, I guess I mean not recently because he's not like a super, recent star anymore, but when Jet Li kind of came onto the scene, everybody was like, whoa, that's how old we are. It's to say that Jet Li's recent, but when he kind of made his holy shit, in Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon 4.
Holy fuck.
A movie from almost 30 years.
Right! Jesus. But I don't really know anybody from the Hong Kong cinema that's kind of big,
popped.
Nowadays.
In the US. But the trio, Leslie Chung as Jim and Sherry Chung as Sherry, I thought were good as well. Yeah. Cool characters.
And for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, in I guess Hong Kong, their names are different. They're red bean paste or
red bean pudding?
Yeah, and I'm like...
So how... Did you watch this with subtitles or dubbed?
Yeah, I watched it with subtitles because the subtitles I had, though, were kind of sometimes they were wrong, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you must have had the same thing, because, like, on this, they were riddled with errors.
Yeah,
like,
and I was like, it must have came from that
Yeah.
or whatever. But I was like, I could
Very
understand.
poorly
I could
translated.
make out what was going on
Yeah.
for the most part, but sometimes things would happen. And it was just like, I've never been stopped. I'm here, and I'm like, what? Like, you know, some of the
It
stuff.
was a little distracting, I hate to say.
It's fucking distracting. I would have. I mean, not to be like, you know, but this is one time not one time. I usually like watching the dub, the dub, but like, I would have preferred that over these subtitles.
I agree, because it was, like I said, it was distracting. I spent half the time trying to figure out what the dialogue was supposed to be, as opposed to paying attention to the movie.
Also, I feel like with action, it's, for me at least, it's a lot better if it's dubbed, because I don't have to be like, you know, not that I can't do two things at once, but if you're looking down here and reading and then something cool's happening up there, you're like, okay, like, you know.
You're like,
yeah, I'm like.
binoculars.
Yeah. But shout out to Violet Lamb for the awesome Lupin-esque music here that's like,
Nice.
you know, Paris-esque, like, heist, while they're casing the joint and stuff. I started watching this and I was like, huh, they've got, like, the thief, they've got, like, the woman, they've got, like, the accomplice. They even have, like, the lovable police officer that's, like, nice to
On their
him.
side.
Yeah, kind of, and I'm like, all they needed was, like, a samurai. I'm like, wait a minute, something's going on here.
Now you know why I picked this.
Yeah, and I was like, this was legit. I was just, and the jokes and stuff were funny and stuff like that for the most part. Like, unless I didn't get it because the subtitles didn't make sense, I was like, huh. I understood, like, in The Killer why they had, like, fake names, because, like, they didn't want to, like, you know what I mean, like, give out their, you know, so they wouldn't be discovered.
Their true identities.
But in this, like, to have an alternative to be, like, red bean paste or jelly or whatever it was, I was like, I'm glad that in this it was just, you know, the version I watched, it was just they called each other, like, you know, Cherry and, you know, Jim and stuff. I'm not putting anybody down that was born in your name as, like, red bean jam, but change your name. Just kidding.
I saw in the credits there was, like, did it say Car Stunts by Remy Julien or Stunts?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I recognize his name because he did a lot of the Bond movies. I was like, whoa, they got the best of the best. But then the car action in this movie was not good. Or at least the truck chase or whatever. Like, the slowest chase in the history of movies. They were going, like,
some of the stuff
hour.
was pretty funny and stuff, but there was also a couple... a lot of
There
this
were
was
some cool
funny.
car stunts later, though, I will say.
Yeah, Chow Yun-Fat loves his gum in the beginning of this. I was like, what the fuck is he doing, dude? Why is he doing
He does that in a lot of
doing
movies.
a cow
There.
impression
Yeah.
here? And then he just is like...
It's a Captain Kick-Ass move.
The coolest thing I could think of is chewing gum.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, fucking, he's getting me.
Tell that to me when we were making movies in high
Oh my
school.
god. I'm like, this guy's so fucking cool. He's chewing gum and ruining the audio. Dudes.
And his entrance music is Puff Daddy.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
He'll never be in trouble.
Come with me. It's like, what? Dudes fix lady's shoe, and I was like, huh, okay. Remote street cobblers here. They're like, miss, we fixed your shoe. And I'm like,
Cobblers on
I wouldn't know how to
cobblestone.
fucking fix a fucking shoe. Chow Yun-Fat is all about, like, the fucking animal poking and shaking in this, because he, like, grabs that dog and he's like, a little bit of Monica in my life. I'm like, why is this dog being fucking shaken so much? And then later on he has a bird and he's like, you want to go to bed? Like, fucking animal abuse over here.
Yeah, seriously.
It's not like Italian style where they're like, they take,
They're not
like,
cutting their heads off.
yeah, they're not like grabbing a fucking giraffe and being like, it's like, if you see a spider, it's dead. This, I always wanted to get married with little boys and girls along the aisles. I'm like, yeah, that's how it's done, right? Like, what are they talking about?
And
Maybe she meant like the traditional way of, like, in America, or not America, but in like the Christianity Catholic way or something. Because I'm sure that there might be a different way in like Hinduism or Shintoism or something. I don't know.
But she wanted to get married in Notre Dame, which has finally been rebuilt as we
She's
speak.
like fighting Irish. Even though I don't know if that's true. Is that right? Fighting Irish? Okay. I was like, finally been rebuilt. Oh. Nice news.
Very topical.
I like it. So the more I watch... Oh, we already talked about the Lupin third connection. My note, John Woo needs to stop fucking around and do it. I saw he's making a remake of The Killer.
Yeah, it came out.
I
haven't
was
seen
like...
it yet, but it got really bad reviews.
Well,
so
I
I'm
saw
worried.
like a couple screenshots from it, and I was just like... I was like, I mean, you can't really judge anything by the screenshots, but it's like you kind of see something and you're like... It's weird to see that, and then look at The Killer, and it's like the lighting in general is completely different, because modern lighting a lot of times is so...
Looks like crap.
Yeah. It's like, can't fucking see anything.
Yeah, I'm worried about that one.
But it's like, I don't know why you would remake a movie like that instead of just... I would have much rather
universally
be like
beloved movie
right,
like The
make
Killer.
a brand new one or something.
He
Make a brand new Killer.
He made Silent Night last year, which was okay.
Was it a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it was a silent movie. All action, your favorite.
Was it with Santa Claus?
No.
Krampus? No. Was it a horror movie?
It was an action movie, a revenge movie. A dude getting revenge for his wife and family who were killed.
Oh.
And
I like
his
revenge
voice.
films for the most part.
It was okay.
Yeah. You said they took his voice?
Yeah, so that's why there's no
They were like...
in the movie. He got like shot in the throat or something.
Oh, yeah. It was like... the bullet went across his
snip,
throat.
snip.
It's like the gun from Roger Rabbit where the bullets are alive.
But I'm worried about old John if the reviews that I read are indicating he might be losing
Maybe
his
he'll go back
edge.
to Lost in Space.
Yeah, finally make another episode.
He makes the Lupin live action film and it's pure dog shit. No! They have made 2 already, but neither one of them had super great reviews. I feel like it would be super easy to do with enough... I mean, because it's really just... I mean, James Bond and Mission Impossible and all these other things have pretty much been ripping off and doing that for, years. So it's like... It would be the easiest thing to translate from, like, manga or Japanese stuff. Because it's... You don't have to do, like, if it's like you're doing Vampire Hunter D live action, you'd have to period stuff and costumes. This is literally... You could go to any city and fucking film it. You know what I mean? It's like, anyway, this is not the Lupin the Third episode, even though that's why you said you picked it. Cops are transporting the museum goods, and they're loving the makeout that's happening. They're like, young kids, they do whatever they want.
Just like the Addams Family.
I was like, they do what they want to do, and I was like, they're like so...
Kick and they slap a friend.
Yeah, they're so like, enhanced. They're so entranced by it. They're like... Also, like...
It was so intoxicating, they got the dry boat.
Yeah. Did you notice the Mannheim Steamroller music synth style in this? It was... some of this music started getting out of control. It
was pretty silly.
Yeah, I was like... Chow Yun Fat is smelling for the painting, and for zero reason, it's like, there's like... Like, he puts in, like, pig oink noises, and I was like, okay, I see where we're going here. Also, at 11 minutes... in the art truck, when he finds the fucking, like, thing, and he, like, pulls the thing up, he's like, oh, here it is. The David S. Pumpkins music starts, like,
Any question?
Yeah, I was like, what? He was just like, and the painting is part of it. I'm like, what? But I was just like, some of these musical cues sounded so similar to things, so I was like, I wonder if people watch this. And then we're like...
Possible.
This part, for no reason, made me pissed. Chow Yun Fat is escaping, and he's like, making zero fucking noise, and he's on the roof, and he's like, okay, time to get away. And then, for no reason, the fucking guard is like, I'm gonna climb halfway out the fucking shit and attack him. And I was like, is there a scene missing here? Like, that pissed me off, because I was like, dude, there's no... I mean, obviously, other than to make, for action, but, like, there could have been something happen where he drops something, or, like, something happens to make it, like, make sense. Like, I was like...
Yeah,
like, I watched this, I was pissed, because I wanted him to just get away, like, without being seen, but it was like, what the fuck is this? Also...
It has 20/20 hearing.
Yeah, Leslie Chung cuts the fucking brake lines. Those guys are dead. He's like under there, and he's like snip, and they're like, ah, and I was like, Jesus!
They committed murder.
Yeah, pretty much. These guys are fucking dead. And then the random outtakes of Chow Yun-Fat parachuting, and he's like,
that was great.
and then like he's parachuting and he's like, as he's coming down, it's in a completely different area from where he lands, because when he lands, it's like on the street, like by the car, like Austin Powers style.
But he's trying to land on the car, and it's going like 1 mile an hour. I'm like, dude, just stop and let him get in the car. Like, why does it matter?
Yeah, they're trying to like line it up or whatever, and like he misses, and then he's like, it's your fault. And I was like, well, you guys both had to like fucking kind of like yeah, it's like, what is going on right now? Like, but he's like, maybe if you'd spent less time fucking around in the air instead of like, I don't know,
waving his arms like he just didn't care.
Yeah, Chow Yun-Fat pissing on the side of the road.
Dude, did you see the stream on that bad?
Yeah,
boy?
I was like,
that was like a fire
totally
hose.
a hose, not his fucking cock. I was like, yeah, like
I was like, impressive.
Straight.
Yeah.
Straight fucking out.
I was like, whoa.
It's like he had like the
He
fucking
drank, like,
flow
40
of
Gatorades.
Superman or something. I was like,
I drink the Gatorade.
I'm doing ice tea. Chow Yun-Fat's a piss pig freak.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was oinking earlier. So what'd you think about Evil Splinter teaching them, the three main kids, how to fucking steal?
I thought it was interesting because, like, they basically have the two father figures.
Yeah. The good one and,
yeah.
like, the one that kind of, like, the cop that catches them stealing and then ends up taking them in and raising them.
Yeah.
And trying to set them on the right path or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not, like, a deep or profound movie, but, like, at least there's that. There's something to it. It's not
I mean,
total,
I think that, like, that's
antics.
what kind of makes it more interesting for me than,
Yeah.
like, other films I've seen by him, like The Killer or something, because that had like the relationship with the friend, like the people that became friends in it. This had that, but it also had like the father figures and like, you know, that kind of thing, and then like kind of the woman wanting like their sister essentially. I mean, it's not their actual sister; they're like orphans that grew up together, so that's why it's not weird that the one dude ends up with her or whatever. Mm-hmm. But like, that she wants them to like stop because she's like, okay, we made enough money, you know, we've been doing this for a while, but I think at this point we're lucky to have gotten out of this without being fucking killed. And like,
yep.
She's trying to, you know, stop them from committing, well, a suicide.
Yeah. I think that's what elevates this from just
Yeah.
being a silly lark
Oh, for
to
sure.
like a good movie.
I was pissed when I looked and, you know, I remembered, oh shit, there's no like special features or commentary or anything on this. It's like, fuck, why?
I know.
So
definitely
stupid.
Deserves a special edition.
Yeah,
maybe someday.
Maybe, unless there, have you look? Well, maybe there is. I just didn't know. Because it wasn't me. Some good old fashioned bread stealing with butt play.
Nice.
Your favorite. A policeman that becomes their father. You know, he pretty much is
Basically
like
takes pity on him.
Yeah.
And helps him out.
But like in the present day, they're like, we need you to help solve the art theft, and he's thinking, okay, fucking, I'm pretty sure my kids are involved in this.
Yeah.
I thought it was like even to this day they live together as a family. Even later on I liked how much the dad essentially becomes a part of the family too. He kind of shows up and stuff like that. I just like that kind of stuff. I mean, like we were saying when we watched the Super Mario Brothers, the best part of that movie was fucking John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins' fucking relationship as brothers. It's like,
yeah,
that's the kind of stuff you gotta watch the movie for. Chow Yun-Fat blows up her cake on her birthday, and then she goes and wipes her face off in the pool instead of the sink. And I was like, what?
I thought the same.
That would be the last thing I would ever think to do. Also, Chow Yun-Fat makes a scary face for zero reason.
Jesus.
I was like, why? They have some fucking cool cars in this. Like this one, Lupin. Yeah. I was like, dude, this is so cool. Did you find anything?
No, there's another Japanese release, but there's no info on it. So
yeah, they sell the stolen painting, get told of another job, which like is like involves a cursed painting that whoever steals it, I think on my subtitles it says whoever gets it will die. So I don't know, or something like that. So it's like, maybe that's really what they meant. I don't know. Like I said, I was kind of at the mercy of the subtitles, like you said. 2940, a grappling hook gets fired over the wall and it hits and knocks out a guard, and I was crying.
That was great.
Because he's just like shoots it to get up there, and it just like hits the guy, and he's like, oh! And I was like, Jesus.
Leading to your favorite, some castle antics.
Yeah, this was legit. I was like, wait a minute, they even have like the castle, like in the Castle of Cagliostro. This is legit. Chow surprises his brother, and they like do some cool stuff where they like do some practical stuff to test the traps. Like he does some rope work to see if there's any like lasers or anything, and they get into the actual place where the painting's held and like test it to make sure there's like electricity on the floor. And
did you think of DVD entrapment?
Yeah. I've still never seen that movie all the way through because
I have, but
rented it and I fell asleep.
I only remember one thing about it, which is the one thing everyone remembers about that movie.
The DVD entrapment thing I got?
No.
Oh.
Well, that, but the money shot that is the only reason anyone wanted to see that movie.
What is it?
When she lifted her butt up over the laser. Remember? Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Like I said, I fell asleep
during
dude. So I think I missed that part.
It was like all over the trailer, and it was like...
She lifts her butt over a camera?
Over lasers.
Oh,
she's like crawling through the lasers.
Is she wearing like a tight, like, is it like a latex leather or something? Yeah.
And it's like a full close-up of her butt. Speaking of butt play.
Do you think it was her butt, or do you think it was like a
butt double?
butt?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to watch that movie and find out.
I'm like... My tongue rolls out.
Like,
yeah. I'm like... Pour like cold water on myself. I'm like... It's like, Jesus! It's like, hey. Also, they changed the camera angle, so it looks like when Leslie Chung like dismounts with the painting, he changes direction. I was like, it's kind of a weird.
Oops.
Yeah. Then like this is when the comedy comes back in. They limbo under like a laser, the last laser. They're like, dun, dun, dun.
I love that.
I was like, dude,
so funny.
I was like, this is total like Hong Kong like action. It was funny. I liked when they add the That's what I was like.
Nothing wrong with some silliness.
Well, it's like this. Chow bandages up his brother after he gets shot, and they get ambushed or whatever.
Yeah,
that was like.
What'd you think of when they stole the thing and they were like swinging back and forth?
Yeah, it was legit.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, there was definitely some wire play going on because when they jumped, it was like they're getting abnormally large amounts of height. Yeah, it was like, but I wasn't like, this is bullshit. This is when the action, like, first instance of real, consistent, and by action, I mean, obviously, like, before, it was, like, with the theft, you're like, oh, gosh, the action is more, like, oh, my gosh, are they going to get away with it? This is more, like, in your face. Cars downstairs, cars driving backward, cool cars under cars, cars skidding upside down, cars in flames, saving a kid in a shootout. It couldn't be a John Woo film without a kid being saved. And then a car ramping into a boat.
So here's my favorite thing that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So they get, ambushed as they're leaving the castle, right?
Yeah. They've been out there for like 10 hours waiting to be fucking killed.
And there's like an army of people, like...
Yeah.
But at one point, there's henchmen in a boat shooting at them, so like... Was their plan to let them escape all the way to the freaking harbor miles away?
It reminded me of like stuff that happens in Bond films. You're like, why are there guys all the way out here?
That was like the biggest contingency plan in like.
It's like they were. It's like they escaped through the world, which has become their own personal haunted house. Like what? Yeah,
they stepped.
That's
into
a good
John
call
Woo
out.
Action land,
right? Also, there's some weird faces following like after he ramps into the boat. It's like the one dude looks high and fucking Chow Yun Fat's like. So I don't know if you caught this. You've seen this probably. How many times have you seen this?
Maybe a couple, 3
times. You probably noticed this, but when he goes into the boat, it blows up before he fucking hits the fucking boat. And I was like, because The only reason why I caught that is because I was watching it, and it seemed like just a little off, and I was like, okay, something doesn't look right here. So, like, I did it frame by frame, and that's when I was like, oh. But I was cracking up because I was just like... But when it went off, it was like the largest fucking explosion. It's like, was there fucking...
was like a nuclear blast.
Yeah, there was like TNT in the fucking car he was driving.
But I love stuff like that. I thought it was
I do too, but I just was like...
It's not
Well,
realistic.
I was like, did that actually go off? Like before?
There was a bomb boat.
That's true. A sad song plays as they think of Chow Yun Fat being dead.
He's Chow Yun Thin now.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense. No,
He's thin?
Chow Old Fat? I don't know. I gotta work on this one.
What is the opposite of Yun? It's
like
like
young, old.
it's like what's the opposite of Chow? Like barf?
Yeah, puke.
It's like puke old thin.
Nailed it.
Or Yang instead of Yun. I don't know. But that would
Yun
be-
and Yang.
Yeah. Chow Yang. Yeah, whatever. But it's cool. It's like they show. I feel like this happens a lot in like these films, like Hong Kong films, or just like the Asian films we've seen that are action. They'll sometimes have like they'll show a montage of what we just saw earlier in the film, but they do it with this with They show it, but then they also show stuff that's happening. Like time is actually passing, and so they intercut that, which is cool.
Yeah. And this movie has a handful of freeze frames in it,
Yeah.
which I do appreciate.
They kill the shit out of the French guy that set up Chow and Leslie. He just gets murdered, like hardcore. He gets choked out and his fucking foot shoots through the fucking windshield. I was like...
Yep.
But then you find out, oh, he's actually alive. He didn't die. But he's in a wheelchair.
Or is he?
Well, he is. I mean, he's still in a wheelchair regardless. It's that whether or not his legs are fucked
I'm
up.
like, not true.
Yeah, I was like... He's like floating. He's like, is he in a wheelchair? Yes. Or is he? He is.
Asked the answer.
His dad that abused him throws him down the fucking stairs. I was like, Jesus. Whoa. So it's like, I think I guess that's a test to see if he was actually like, but it's like, he's selling this like hardcore.
Oh yeah.
Because that's one of the big twists is like later on in the film, like you were saying, you find out that his legs were working the whole time.
That was like a fist pump moment.
Yeah, a fist bump. You were like,
yeah, yeah, yay,
yeah, yay, yeah. It was awesome. I was like, holy shit. But Chow sees like his brother and like pretty much his like brother and sister having a good time as a couple and smiles and pretty much just like leaves him because he was going to confront him, but then he was like the whole time like he was with her but like he didn't really love her, and then he was just like, you know what, it's probably best if I just let them live their life together as a couple. And I don't know, should I go ahead and talk about like, I don't know, I one thing I very much appreciate and kind of made this movie bump up for me is that like there was never like a turn or a conflict between the two brothers.
Couldn't agree more.
I was like,
no sitcom bullshit.
Well, I was expecting the killer to happen where like something happens at the end where there's like, you know what I mean? Or like, where like the people that are friends have to kind of like choose between,
or there's a misunderstanding.
Right. That leads to, and I was like, please don't let this happen. And I kept counting down the minutes. Okay, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. And it never did. And I was like, thank the Lord. Like this actually...
It's refreshing.
It was like a good thing. So if you're interested in seeing this movie, like, you don't have to worry about some bullshit like that happening.
Totally agree.
I was like, dude, this is so cool. But like he does see him, like the brother, and that's really the only conflict is that he sees him and he doesn't say anything to his like, you know, girlfriend or, you know, person he grew up with, like, about it, because he doesn't want her to, like, be like, oh, I love him, and go back to him and stuff like that.
Right.
But you kind of find out, like, she actually loves him, and they actually are going to have, like, a kid and stuff like that together, and she doesn't really love Chow Fat. She was, I think, the same way, where she was just kind of spending time. Which is cool, because they end up kind of, like, all the characters kind of grow up into settling down from being, like, these free-spirited, it's, you know,
They settle down on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm with you, man, on that aspect for sure.
But then when she does find out, you know, he shows her around and he's like shows his latest computer that he can play computer games on, and it's like just green text, and I was like
he's playing
like Zork
King's
or
Quest.
something.
Yeah, better example.
Fucking text based, like, or that like one game that Ryan used to play that was all text on
Gemstone.
AOL. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
What'd you think of that house?
It was legit. It reminded me of kind of one of the houses that Roger Moore had in one of the Bond films. Very, like, you know, shagadelic.
Like, that was very cool.
Which is, I guess, this was the 90s.
Except he had that terrifying mural on the one wall.
Yeah.
There's like a weird creature like standing in the darkness. I was like, dude, I'd be scared every night.
Yeah, I was like, is this about to turn into a horror film?
Is a raptor gonna like?
Yeah. She wants like Chow Fat to help James, and he asks like, does he want to be helped? And I was like, dude, this is a great line. You know, it's like, I mean, that's very realistic. Like, you can only help people that actually want to be helped or saved. It's like you can do all you can do, and that's pretty much what he was saying. Like, so guys are bidding on a statue, and Chow Fat shows up in his wheelchair and outbids everyone. And utters a sentiment that Matt can agree with after the last week's episode. The guy that's what's it called, the auctioneer. He says, "You're not a useless handicap. I'm impressed." Jeez. I'm just kidding.
Hang my head in shame.
I'm just kidding. But when he said that in the subtitles, I was like, "What the fuck? You're not a useless handicap. I'm impressed." I was like, "What the fuck, dude?" Like.
Not the craziest line in this movie. We haven't got to that.
Right. Chow Fat, though, is cracking up because the whole time he's like...
He's great in that.
And then he goes up to his fucking original dad, the OG dad, and the guy wins. He, like, pretty much bids up his dad on this thing. And he's like, you bid again and I'll break your leg, or your arm. I'll break your legs that are broken. I'll break your arms. And he's like, ooh. And then he's like, when he goes to bid, he's like, and, like, Chow Fat pushes it and it breaks. And he's like, sorry, I did that on purpose.
That was a great scene and a great line. I want to use that more. Sorry, I did that on purpose.
Yeah, I was like, dude. Oh, my God. So, yeah, I was cracking the fuck up, dude.
What'd you think of Chow Fat's wheelchair dancing?
Dude, yeah, like, that was... I actually had notes about that later where he's, like, on the floor... and doing all kinds of, like, stunts. And there's a part where they have to cut it because he's going backwards and he's about to run into some poor lady's fucking legs. And I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure they cut it there because he just plowed her ass.
At one point, didn't he fall totally back? And
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, where he's backwards and he's like...
That was awesome.
I thought this was cool, though. It's reminding me, like, I don't know, I hate bringing up, like, Lupin because... But it's like when James threw the lighter... the distraction and stuff like that. I was like, holy shit.
Yep, that was a good one.
He's like, yeah. I was like, James puts a lighter in a lamp and it fucking a lit cig on top of it. And that's the way you do it when you want to fool the cops.
Nice.
But I was like...
They did make a great escape.
They did. But that was legit. I was like, this is the kind of stuff that it's like... Yeah, I was just like, dude, this is so good.
Yep.
Like,
I agree.
I was like, I like the idea of Chow Fat helping his brother and sister and being like a mentor to communicate with a job and stuff like that. It was so cool. This part like made no sense to me, but I mean, what else is new? I was like, so why, if he thought the cake was a trick, did he put his face all up in it? Because, like, he's like, oh, this cake is delicious. Like, you know, like, and they're like, yeah, it's not a trick. And he tries it because earlier he got hurt with it. And he, like, he's like, delicious. That's great. He's like, this is so good. And then he just closes, he's like, And then the cake fucking shoots up with a spring and hits him in the face. And I was like, cracking up because of what happened, and also like it was so obvious because he was like, It's like, okay, dude. Felt like they had one shot at that. Medicine. Yeah. I put Chow's got the moves in the chair.
Yeah, dude.
Like, he's got the look.
He looks like he's having a blast.
Yeah. Yeah, I put Chow Yun-Fat makes this movie for me. His facial expressions and comedy crack me up.
He's great.
Yeah.
It's amazing if you compare this with Hard Boiled, where like he's so badass, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
like he's got some range.
It's like Jackie Chan. But I'm sure people compare them because they both have the range and they also have the, the goods to back it up. Like either serious or they can do comedy, they can do drama. There's that one movie with Jackie Chan where he's like going up against Pierce Brosnan and it's fucking horrifying because he's
a great one.
Serious as fuck.
The Foreigner.
Yeah.
Also, Jackie Chan is hilarious, but he can also be like highly vulnerable and like scared and like at the end of his rope.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have phrased that a little better. He's at the end of his rope.
Yeah. He's like, Kata. Oh man, I'm at the end of my rope. I'm like, Jesus. Also, the guy that has the key that they're trying to steal it from randomly had like a candy cane in his pocket. I was like,
it's like, is this a Christmas movie now?
Yeah, I'd assume at that point I was like, okay, I'm assuming this is around Christmas, or if this guy's just like has a candy cane fucking affliction or addiction, not affliction. He's like, also the dance scene is set to like the synth from Rugrats. It was like, wah, 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 wah. I was like, eh. And this freeze frame at the end was cracking me up where it's like, ah! Yeah.
They were having a great time.
It was legit, though. And then the next scene starts with the Seinfeld theme. I was like, okay. Dude, Chow Yun-Fat is going nuts on these comms helping his brother. He's like, I'm the DJ, and he's going for like the Super Oscar. He's like, good morning, Hong Kong. Like, this scene was like, holy shit, dude. He drank like 10 cups of coffee and then went fucking nuts. He's like, oh, do the blue wire. It's like, it reminds me of like, that's one thing too I appreciate is like, Chow Yun-Fat, Jackie Chan, they can be very like feminine and they're not like, I won't do that. You know what I mean? Like, hell, Jackie Chan dressed up as freaking Chun-Li in that City Hunter movie or whatever. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's entertainment. Get over it. You know what I mean? Like,
there's something called joy of performance.
Right.
And this is totally an example of that. He's just having a blast, and it makes it fun for the audience.
Has there been a movie with Jackie Chan and Chow Yun-Fat together?
Nobody knows. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up.
Also, I thought this line was funny. The father shows up and he's like, what are you doing in here? And he's like, oh, I'm just doing like a radio thing for the kids. And I'm like, okay, first of all, this cop guy is just buying whatever they tell him just so he can look the other way. Yeah. Because why the fuck would he be not like in an actual studio? But he says, okay, he's like, you take over. I got to go to the bathroom. And he's like, well, good things you guys aren't stealing that painting. They changed the security for it. If someone takes it, they get locked in. It's like, that is such a, I can't directly help you, but you know what I mean? No, yeah. That's why this character was so good, because he's not going to step over that line, but he will not let pretty much his kids come to harm. Because they're not like trying to kill anybody. Well, they did earlier.
They did earlier.
Now I think about it, wait a minute, this killed a fucking ton of people. Those people were bad guys, though.
Also, giant bad kamikaze those dudes on the boat.
That's true. Well, also, earlier, his other son killed those French guys that had no guns, or well, no, that one guy had a gun, so. I feel like in these movies, like, if you have a gun and you're shooting at the good guys, all bets are off. Like, you deserve to die. It's like, these people probably had families. They're just protecting the fucking paintings. But, like, he put the C4 on the door and it blew up next to it. I never understood why that happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Like, I feel like there was something in the subtitles that would have explained it, but
maybe.
there was no help. So,
I can't help you on that one.
also, I was cracking up with the Walking Dead level ridiculous hand signals they were doing. They were just like,
Did they do that in Walking Dead?
dude,
Oh,
there got
they're
to be
sneaking around
there
and
got to
stuff?
be a part where like they would be doing these hand signals, and it's like that. It's supposed to be serious, but it's so ridiculous. In this, it's done for comedy, and it's like, come on. Like, yeah, let's all get together and have meetings where we discuss what our fucking hand signals are going to be.
Oh my god.
I mean, it's the only way that would make sense for that to work. You know what I mean? Like, guy got blown so high in the air he jumped off the wall,
That was awesome.
and another dude gets C4 stuck on his head, and it blows up around the corner off screen. But if this was like a movie with blood, that would have been fucking horrifying. It would have been like the whole body. This
You would
movie
have turned into a Crimson Smile.
Right.
Red mist.
a crimson smile. His fucking head would be like gone. His whole the blood's like. But this is more like, yeah, it's more goofy and stuff. There's no direct like. I don't think I ever see blood in this film.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's very like, I mean, people do die, the henchmen, but mainly they die by just falling over, and you think, okay, well, they're done. You know, there's no direct heads fucking be lopped off, or, you know.
They saved all the blood for Hard Boiled in the next year.
And this is very like, you know, which is it's very much like a kung fu movie, but with guns and stuff too, where like, you know, even though I think in this something happens towards the end that is probably more horrifying than anything in fucking The Killer or Hard Boiled. You know what I'm talking about? Jesus Christ. But Giant Fat says, please grant me a bomb to kill this kid, which is like a guy that's older than him. And fucking the guy lands on the trigger and blows up and dies. And I was like, this is just like jokes all over the place, which I appreciate. I like when, you know,
too.
Either to me, it's like either you go, you know, you can go like Hard Boiled, where you go like ridiculous, you know, realistic, not realistic, but like, you know, more gore based or blood, or you go like this, where it's like the bad guys are being killed, but it's
a
like,
cartoon.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah, you have to have style. So the original dad shows up and tries to kill both of them. It's like, what the fuck? This guy's like a true bastard. Like, all he cares about is like his money and his paintings. I mean, even when they show like the stuff that happens like when they're kids, he's like, they're all going like this or whatever, because like they're not allowed to, like, if they mess something up, they can't eat, and they show him sneaking food for each other, and he like has this fucking reed cane that he beats them with, and it's like he adopted them just to use them as his fucking like essential
slaves.
Right, exactly. It's ridiculous. So he gets what's coming to him. He doesn't get killed, but he gets fucking like arrested or whatever by the good dad. Good dad versus evil dad.
Good dad, bad dad.
Yeah. Ghost dad. Yeah, he tried to kill them both, and then that's when Chow and Fat shows that his legs work. And he like pops out of this fucking wheelchair and roundhouse kicks him 11 times.
That was
And I was
so
like,
good.
this is a total fucking cartoon, because he roundhouse kicks him in the head 11 times and he doesn't essentially get killed or knocked out. I was like, dude, this guy would be fucking out for like ever.
Or at least have brain damage.
Well, it's just like he kicks him a bunch and then he just 5 seconds later he's up and not there anymore. But this part was really cool with the fucking basketball.
The flaming basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't see that coming.
He puts a basketball in front of a microwave, and after putting some cans in it or something, and it blows up the microwave essentially, and since it makes the basketball defy logic by becoming a cannonball.
Yeah.
And it carries a guy out a window.
So
Like the guy in the basketball are like fucking it like straight out of the Patriot.
We've been raving about this movie, but we haven't even got to by far my favorite part, which is this end fight scene, and then what happens after that, like the last minute. Because this, like, is what I think of when I think about this movie. Like, this end shootout in the house is amazing.
Yeah, it's legit as fuck. I mean,
it's got to be in the top of like any John Woo action scenes.
I was watching this thinking this was kind of like, I'm sure at the time, and I mean even watching it, I was kind of like, but like, there's like one of the henchmen stands out because all he does is attacks with cards. He's like a complete ripoff of Gambit from fucking
That
X-Men.
is insane. He uses magic.
Yeah, but it's like he not just uses cards at first, then he starts doing stuff where he uses like flash paper and he's throwing fire.
He shoots flames. I was like, dude,
what the
when you have a henchman who exclusively uses magic, I'm in.
Yeah. It's like I was watching it and I was like, the more I thought about it, I was like, this is lame as fuck because like this guy doesn't have a cool look really. He's just like the most generic white guy they fucking found.
It's just so shocking that happened in this
But
movie.
like he's throwing cards and the cards aren't, I don't think they're special or anything, but he's throwing them so fast. I will say one of the things he threw it at wasn't really impressive. He threw it in like a wicker thing that would like catch pretty much anything. So I was like, whatever. But he's throwing cards, and when it actually hits someone, it does like show blood. I think that's really the only time. It's like it's a cut for Leslie or whatever, like the actor. I don't know what's his name in the movie, like Jim or something.
John
or Jim or something.
Joe. No, Jim.
Joe. We Jim old. But I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. But then I'm like...
Kinda.
Well,
it's insane.
Well, but then I was like, this guy's the biggest fucking idiot in the entire world.
He brought cards to a gunfight.
Because everyone around him is using guns. And the only reason why he's still alive is because the good guys don't have guns.
It's inexplicable.
And I love it. I was like...
I've never seen that in a movie before.
It's like, I was watching it and I was like, this guy completely ripped off Gambit from the X-Men and he's like, oh, I'm gonna fucking totally kill these fuckers. And I was like, what was the guy's plan? Like, like to go in... I mean, I think the only reason why this even worked is because he was literally surrounded by henchmen with guns. Like, he's the guy that goes in. Like, he must have some sort of, like, rank on them. Because there's no way that you would get a new guy coming in here with fucking cards and shit.
Yeah.
And then being like, yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Because everybody else has guns, so he must be, like, their captain. He goes in, he has fucking cards and, I guess, like... fucking flash paper he's throwing at people, and it's like if he kills a dude, it's like he can chalk it up to himself. But it was probably the guy probably got killed by a gunshot, not a fucking car.
There's a hail of bullets around everyone.
Yeah, and he's just like, I did it. It was me that fucking killed the guy, not fucking all the guns being fired.
We've seen hundreds of shootouts in hundreds of movies.
Yeah,
you will never forget that Magic Man.
Yeah, the
once a thief. That's inexplicable.
Yeah. And then he gets fucking lit on fire. And it's the most horrifying thing I've ever seen because there's a part where he's literally just laying on the ground, like, on fire, and his fucking feet are sticking out. And Chow Yun-Fat's just like, I asked you not to play with fire, like, as a joke. And I'm like, Jesus!
So there's a line...
This man is horribly fucking killed.
He says, you have so many aces, you must have AIDS.
Yeah, I didn't write that down because I thought it was a fuck up, so I was like, I
hope it was.
But then the other guy said, you have more? And I was like,
I couldn't figure that out.
Like the magician was like, well then you have more.
I was like,
these subtitles here failed, like hardcore. It's like, you have so many aces, you must have AIDS. And it wasn't like, they spelled it out like the disease. So I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Unless he's like saying,
it must
like,
have been some joke that did not translate.
Yeah.
But I was like...
Yeah, I've never heard of a deck of cards giving someone AIDS before, so... I don't know.
You haven't lived.
Jesus Christ. I feel like this character, this magic guy with the cards should have, like, had a cooler look. That would have stood out.
He was just wearing,
a
suit or something?
Yeah, he was just wearing a suit, and it was just a random white dude. It was like, okay, cool. Why doesn't this guy, like, have some cool look? Like,
should have looked like Rufio.
Well, I mean, sunglasses or something, or... I don't know, like a long coat, like mohawk, maybe not, maybe bald and, earrings. something. He just
They got it right in Hard Boiled with Mad Dog.
yeah.
Another great henchman.
I'm pretty sure that the guy from Yakuza is based on that guy because he's fucking crazy or
nice.
whatever. But like, yeah, the look of the guy isn't the greatest. I like the idea, like you said, this is like a guy straight out of James Bond where he's like. But like in James Bond, he would have had like metal cards. This guy literally was just like, fuck it, I'm using regular playing cards. He's not like Gambit where he could like electrically charge the cards and they blow up when he throws it at something. It's like,
And he's not just throwing a few cards, he's throwing like full decks.
Yeah!
Like, dude, how many decks does this guy have?
yeah, he was throwing full decks, and then it
was
showed
awesome.
how useless he was because Chow Yun Fat was able to just catch him. He's like, you know what? This is bullshit. He just started catching him, being like, full house, royal flush, and I was just like, okay, this guy's useless. And then he spits fucking like poison at him, and he lights himself on fire, and he's like, yeah! He's like, what the fuck? A guy gets like power poled, freaking like Monkey King style by fucking Chow Yun Fat. I was like, dude, this is so legit.
Yeah.
And then of course they did I knew this was coming. The guy's like avoiding it by going like that, and then he stops attacking him, and the guy kept going like that. And he's like, hey, and then he just hits him in the head, and he's like knocks out.
That was great.
Yeah.
Turned into Bugs Bunny.
What do you think about the fourth wall breaking here, where like the good dad says all movies have the bad guys caught at the end? This movie is no exception.
I liked it.
But he doesn't look at the camera, he's looking at the guy. So the guy's like, the bad guy's like, huh? Yeah, he's like, oh.
Are you telling me we're in a movie?
Yeah. And they return the actual painting. Because that was the thing, is like they show like, the dad is like, the bad dad's like, oh, I gotta get the fucking painting, you know, this is my life, you know. And he goes to get it with the wheelchair, and they shoot the wheelchair out from under him, and both his knees fucking like hit, and like his legs are fucking horribly fucking splayed. And then they Rambo it, and they're like fire arrow the fucking painting, and it's like, Jesus, it's like on fire, and it's like, ah, put it out, ah. So
That's good stuff.
yeah. Then
And that's the end of the movie, right? Nothing notable happens after the end shooting.
well, they kind of have something at the end where they're like, hey, you know, we're gonna go off to the United States and be like, you know, a couple. She's pregnant. Aren't you gonna be the godfather? And he's like, oh, you won't want me around. And they're like, okay, we're gonna leave or whatever. And he's like, wait for me. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. Then the craziest fucking thing I think I've ever seen happens where this is not an outtake. This is not like a dream. This fucking happened. He becomes like their fucking like slave, like their maid or something. And he's got on like, he's dusting stuff while he's cooking, and he's like
all in fast motion.
doing the baby, you know, like, you know, go like that, and it's crying, and he's like dusting and throwing stuff, and then he's like watching fucking the football game, the Super Bowl, what is it?
The Bengals,
Yeah.
the Super Bowl, the Bengals
And he's
49ers.
like, yeah, and fucking then he throws like the baby, he's like, yeah, and he's like, ah, and fucking, you see like these little like it's butt and legs go like that out of like a thing, and he's like, no,
Dead Alive
yeah,
style.
he's like, shit, and then like you go over to like, you know, his brother and sister with their like other kids or whatever, and they all look over and they're like, and the credits roll, and I was like, what? I was cracking the fuck up because I was like,
The first time I saw this movie, my jaw dropped.
yeah,
I was
you were
like,
what?
like, I can't believe they did it. They just turned this movie into a total joke.
Yeah,
It's
it's insane
one of the
because
craziest
it's
things I've ever
like,
seen in a movie. But to me, that just elevates this movie from amazing to legendary. I mean, do you think this movie would have been better if they didn't put that insane scene at the end of the movie?
I don't think it really had any effect on it for me. I liked it, but I wasn't, you know, it didn't sway me one way or the other.
I just love that, like,
The movie was
I've
already
never seen a movie that
the
did
movie
that.
was already a joke. as
Yeah.
far as like, you know, putting ridiculous stuff in it. So like when that happened, it wasn't like
It was just an escalation.
it wasn't like the most serious thing I've ever seen, and then they completely ruined it or
Yeah.
anything. Like I already knew what they were on. I was on board with. I was just kind of. It's a little shocking when something that gets put in, it's not an outtake or it's not like a dream sequence or something, because a baby was fucking thrown. A baby was abused for the fucking arts.
So what's your rating going to be? Or do you have any other notes or any other?
I think that's pretty much the end of the film. So I mean, I don't know.
I'm really
like,
glad you liked it, man. I was
Yeah.
pretty sure you would, but
after the killer that I picked, you're probably like, I guess we'll see.
yeah, I don't think this is like the best John Woo movie, but it might be the most fun.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I mean, I think I've seen more of his American ones than I've seen of like his, you know, like the Hong Kong or whatever ones. I don't know. It might be equal now, but like, I don't really know how many he's made over the years that were people would say are actually like his really good ones and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I remember like Hard Boiled being legit back in the day, but I haven't seen that film in forever. I picked The Killer because
Possibly
I was like,
my favorite movie.
I didn't want to like pick Hard Boiled, you know, because it's so, you know, everybody's seen it. Not that we couldn't for the podcast. It's just I wanted to try something, you know, do a different giant or a different John Woo film, and then yeah, I think this was like a good blend of comedy and action and stuff like that to make it an interesting film for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely liked it for sure. I don't know. I don't know what I rated The Killer. Definitely rate it higher than that. I mean, probably like I don't know. I don't really think there's anything wrong with it. So I guess like a 9.95.
I give it a 9. I give it a 9.95.
It's weird
For what it is, it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean we have like a scale, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like on the 9.95 scale there are different levels of 9.95. Like I gave like this a 9.95. I gave what we watched last week a 9.95, but like none of them are as good as Day of the Dead to me. So you know what I mean. But it's not like they're bad. It's just on the scale there's different. Maybe we should do that one day. Take all the movies we've ever watched that are 9.95s and rate them.
That'd be brutal.
Yeah. It'll be a fight to the finish. Only one can win. In the
Speaking
hearts
of
of
winning,
men. Yeah.
our viewers are going to win when they watch next week's episode, which is...
I don't know. What are you cooking? So next week doesn't have anything to do with what Matt's hat is, but or does it? I don't know. I haven't seen the film, so maybe it will.
Chef, starring Jon Favreau.
Oh, maybe. He eats the film. He's like, He's like, check this shit out, mini-me. It's Iron Man. I'm Happy Hogan. Okay, so next week, we're going to do some James Coburn. We're returning to In Like Flint himself. Nice. And we're going to watch the Internecine Project. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard the title. I know nothing about it.
And The President's Analyst.
Nice.
One from the swinging 60s and another from the 70s. Weirdly enough, I got these, like, you know, on sale or whatever, when they were doing, I think, like, Arrow or whatever was doing a sale or one of those. Or maybe it was Kino Lorber, I can't remember. But, they both starred James Coburn as... one as the president's analyst, and the other one as a potential advisor to the president. So I guess next week will be Coburn's White House week, where he goes in and does. Maybe we'll work on the title. I don't know if that's a good one.
I like it.
But I didn't think that the Internecine Project was going to have anything to do with the White House or the president or anything like that. I just was like, okay, well, I have the president's analyst. And then I have this other one where, you know, maybe it'll just be James Coburn week or whatever. And randomly, the first couple things in the back were like, you know, as a former spy, you know, all this other stuff, he's in the running to become an advisor to the president. I was like, are you kidding me? He did 2 films where he's a fucking advisor to the president.
Perfect pairing.
Well, it's just weird. It's like, what are the odds?
I love Internecine, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
It's on Tubi.
Yeah, that one's on Tubi. I'm not sure about the President's Analyst.
It's on Amazon.
But
cool, man. That
it won't be hard to find, I guess, which
Yeah.
is good. Hopefully it'll be good. James Coburn. I'm a little bit more excited for the President's Analyst because it's supposed to be like another swinging,
dude,
you know, thing, kind of like, you know, if I can't get any more Austin Powers, I'll tide myself over until, you know, we get a 4th with these swinging originals.
Nice.
That base themselves on Austin Powers.
I'm still waiting for Love Guru 2. Goodbye.
Yeah, you're gonna be waiting a long time for that dog shit.
Love Guru 2.
Yeah, Love Guru, the bullshit edition.
Well,
yeah.
I guess I did.
Do you have anything else to say, Matt?
Bye.
Yep.
Hey! 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 Hey!
What we needed to, we would accidentally record the outtakes.
Oh, sorry guys. My bad.
Should I actually walk over to you, or I mean,
Yeah.
just like static, like standing?
Do you have an idea of how to start this or no?
No. I mean, you're like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Maybe the son of a bitch is dead.
Jesus.
The way he said that, like the way he reacted, I was like, huh? We just started buddy shots.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready? I'm having a stroke! I'm like, da, 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 da. Get a job. Da, da, da.
Do cover. Do cover.
I was thinking about we got standing up.
Jungle gyms and those creatures. Yeah, or creatures. The whatever. I guess they're like life size, like Lucky Charms and all those other characters. He's like, dig, go, Earl, and I was like,
This is the best show
I was
on Earth.
cracking up.
We've been rolling the whole time. Damn it.
9.95. Emotion is feeling so high. 9.95. In overdrive. Put your body in overdrive. 9.95.